In today's video, we are going to have a look at this mighty beast. We're going to see if this tank is truly overpowered or if it might actually be a balanced vehicle. Why can we do that? Because this tank is already on the common test of right now, 1.10.1. It has been released there for super testers and developers, and it's basically already ready to go if you ask me. Don't forget the T77 and the other tanks were also basically ready to go for the devs and for the super testers until just one little patch and boom, they were there. Also, before we start the video, you might think this tank will be part of the loot boxes in Christmas or Christmas boxes. I personally don't think so. I think that if Wargaming is going to do update 1.10.1 for Halloween, which will be very soon, so I guess next week we might even get, or in 2 weeks we might get the update. I'm pretty sure that at the end of November or beginning of December we're going to get the update with those tanks, because Wargaming does not want to miss out on the Christmas people which donate some money into the game to get free XP, to get a new TechTree, to keep them at the ball. So yeah, I'm pretty certain that this tank will probably be, during November or something, a marathon tank. Because I don't think that Wargaming is going to do that for Christmas boxes. It's much better to make this tank a marathon, so everybody can grind it, everybody's going to waste some money in it because they just made 50%, because they know, oh my god, it's going to be a new tank for a new line, you know? Well, meanwhile, probably for the Christmas boxes, we're going to get the G-Zor and maybe the 274. Who knows? But enough talking. Let's compare the Progetto 71 with the Object 703-2, the T77, and the Defender. Why did I pick those three tanks? The 703 because it is also a heavy tank. It is something which is close to its auto-reloading mechanic the Progetto has. The T77 because it is also a 3-round autoloader, which just recently came out, and the Defender because it is still to be believed to be one of the best heavy tanks on tier 8. Now, the first thing you will already see is that the Progetto 71, it actually has the best DPM. Obviously, you have to not clip, but if you don't clip, you actually have the best base DPM from all of those. 190 more DPM than the 703. 520 more DPM than T77 and 200 more DPM than the Defender. However, I do want to point out that the Defender as well as the 703, they are not having that bad DPM compared to the Progetto 71. Why? The 703 and the Defender, they can both mount a tank gun rammer. So these numbers here are a little bit misleading, as the 703 as well as the Defender will have 10% better DPM than what they have right now. So for example here, they'll probably get around 2020 DPM, and for around here 800, or roughly the same as the Progetto, you know, with 440 alpha compared to the 360. Obviously, they do different amounts of module damage because, well, a 105mm gun is a little bit smaller than the 122 or 120mm gun. So it's going to be marginal. It's not going to be as big as it is with the Polish tanks, but it will be there. Yeah, clip size. 3 versus 3, 6 seconds versus 4 seconds. You know, as bad as it sounds that you have 6 seconds interclip reload, it is actually not that bad. You know why? Because you very often can't fully clip out in those 4 seconds with the T77, except if you're in very, very close conditions. You most of the time have to properly aim in. And it's actually very hard with this tank because it has a fairly long aim time. We're going to have a look at that in just a second. Penetration-wise, you can see it is the class worst, the Progetto 71. He has 218, that's it. It has 270mm heat pen, which is roughly in the middle with the T77 being like the best guy out there with almost 300. And it has 155mm hash pen, which is quite yikers. That's a lot of hash pen you can use to wreck some artillery faces. The caliber, yeah, 105 versus 122 versus 122 and 120. That's a little bit of unfortunate. But look at that. AP round. The Progetto has an AP round, the same amount of shell velocity as the 703 with APCR, meaning that actually the Progetto has a better gun in that sense, because the AP is as fast as the APCR to 703, meaning it has also better normalization. So those 3mm where the 703 has more pen are neglectable because the Progetto 71 has better normalization. So, also 60 rounds. I don't know why there are so many rounds. Let's have a look at the gun soft stats, because that was something another viewer said, well, it has trash aim time. That is correct. But look at the 703. It has trash aim time, trash accuracy. But look at those soft stats, 0.12 and 0.06. Like, that is almost, worthy, you know. But, and this is the big problem, the Progetto 71 does not have such soft stats. What does it mean? It means that this tank will not be good at snapshotting and not be that comfortable in using. The tank is almost identical to the T77, with only having its normal hull traverse and stuff like that being slightly better, and the accuracy being slightly worse, the overall accuracy being slightly worse. But it is also comparable to what the Defender has. However, Defender has almost it has a half-second longer aim time, so we have to keep that in mind, with almost the same-ish dispersion. But yeah, you might ask yourself, yo, Raging, you always talk about how this is the dispersion, this is a good value, this is a bad value. Let's have an example, okay? We're going to have a look at the 703 and the Defender. 703 having longer aim time than a Defender, having same accuracy as a Defender, but you can see moving accuracy is much better and turret traverse accuracy is much better. How big is the difference when they're basically twice as good with more aim time? Let's have a look at the object 703 when we are moving its turret, just the turret. That was fairly quick aiming in. Now with a hull movement and the turret movement, well, it takes a little bit, but not that long, right? It's still fairly okay. Now let's have a look at the Defender. This is turret only. That takes quite a long time. That's almost like with hull. But with hull, yikes boys, that's a big ass circle. And this is a circle you're going to expect from the Progetto 71 as well. Just so you know. However, I want to point out, those are tanks. They're equal crews, but they have no equipment in there. No, nada niente. Because I don't know what you're going to take. I don't know if you're going to take stabs, IRM, or stabs, Wentz, rammer, or stabs, Wentz, and view range. I don't know. I just want to give you the pure stats right here. So now let's compare those two together. The 703 versus the Defender. Defender on the left, 703 on the right. Yeah, that's a huge difference. Look at how big those two circles are. Finish 703, finish Defender. That's almost like 2 seconds difference. That's a long ass time. Again, keep that in mind. That is a huge difference. See, 703 is already aimed in, and here, 1, 2, almost 2 seconds, still having to aim in with just the turret. And now, look at this. Oh, now I misclicked. That's my mistake. That happened even in a German video because I'm Pega. Because this one vanishes, which is a little bit stupid. See, now it's aimed in, and now we're still aiming. 1, 2. Yeah, it's around 1.5 seconds, I would say. I'm with my bad counting skills. But that's the point. You are going to expect this right here. You're going to expect such soft stats with a little bit faster aim time. So maybe during turret and hull traverse, it might be slightly behind the 703 because it has this half-second faster aim time. But then again, the circle is way bigger than what the 703 has to offer, meaning the 703 is still going to be much better in close quarter engagements and in snapshotting. So yeah. However, the Progetto 71 is going to have 10 degrees of gun depression, where the 703 can just dream of that. It only has 5. And even the Defender has only 6, and the T77 only has 8. So 10 degrees, that is a nifty little value right there. Plus, you also have 20 degrees of gun elevation. You rarely use that much, but it's nice to have. In the mobility department, here I have to say, T77 and Defender are going to be quicker. They have better power to weight ratio, they have better soft stats than the Progetto. However, the Defender is capped at 35 kph, while the Progetto can go up to 50. So yeah, the Defender is going to be quicker in acceleration, quicker up his hill, blah-de-da, but, that's a big-ass but. As soon as it's in a straight line, it takes some time, but then the Progetto 71 is just going to speed bust the Defender, because you basically can drive comfortably at 40 kph, maybe 45, and maybe downhill at 50 kph. And the 703, well, yeah, it's the slowest one, slowest of the bunch. It does have the best soft stats, but yeah, neglectable. Now the survivability. Here you have to say those values, they don't really matter. Okay, they don't really matter. Let's just jump right into the armor model of this tank. Now, it looks actually less impressive than what Wargaming showed us, but it's all about the angles. First, let's look at the lower plate. The lower plate is actually very weak. 113 millimeters of effective armor, 59 millimeters impact armor. Tier 6 can penetrate that comfortably. And look at that. We even have a spot which is 30 millimeter and 20 millimeters thick, meaning those are overmatchable. This run right here, 45, which is a ricochet right here because of the angle, doesn't matter. If you're a 130 millimeter gun, that's an overmatch right there. IS-7 can overmatch that. 277 can overmatch that if they want to. SU-130 PM can overmatch that if they want to. Then we have this little jump right here from 59 to 95 to 185 millimeters. So that's a big ass jump. So suddenly here you need to aim carefully where you want your shots to go. Those spaced armor plates, which yes, they are actually spaced armor plates, they are just 20 millimeters thick, so they're not that good actually. They are there. It's nice to have 20 millimeters of more armor, but they're not going to make that big of a difference, especially when you are like just standing in the front. You can see you basically have 200 millimeters of armor around here, and here just 180. That is easily penetrable. So the video they showed, it's a little bit misleading. Yes, if you hit the upper plate, you are maybe going to bounce, but the lower plate, nah, man. The lower plate is a freaking easy pen hit. And now look at that. 55, 40, and 30 millimeters, right? Should be right here, yeah. If you look at it like that. That's a lot of 30 millimeters of armor. But we already guessed the hull is not going to be impressive. It's about the turret. And the turret starts to be impressive. We have these 220 millimeters armor plates which are hidden behind this spaced armor screen, which are also 30 millimeters. So you can get quite a lot of effective armor right here. You have here 185 at a nice angle with the 20 millimeter armor plates. And we have no cupola. It's flat. It's flatter than, I don't know, flat earth theory. But yeah, that is actually very freaking tough right there. The side armor, 75 millimeters, that's all right. I guess you can live with that. It's homogeneous, meaning you can side scrape. You just have to watch out for those plates over here. And the rear, 30, 20, 50, 30. That tank doesn't like HE'd. That tank doesn't like getting RD'd. But yeah, that's just the raw armor stats. Let's compare it to the Progetto itself. This is now standard rounds and we are in a hold down position. So he can shoot at us and we can shoot at him. And you can see, yeah, in a hold down position with standard rounds, good luck, mate. 19% to 3%. Here you actually have a chance. 40 to 50% depending where you hit. It depends how this tank is going to hide his hull. That's tough. What about heat rounds? Hey, we have heat screens, right? That should be good, anything. 60% right here. That's not too bad. Here we even have a 80%, which is very nice. But the upper plate, look at that. 80 to 70 millimeters. And even in the heat screen area. And on the turret, well, here you can see, yeah, we are getting more, but it's still 20 millimeters, so 20%. So you're not going to be that effective in penetrating those armor plates. So they are actually doing some stuff, but not that much, obviously. But what about a tank like the Defender? The Defender has a little bit more base pen, as you know. It has 225 instead of 218. It's armor piercing, it's the same deal as before. Turret will be quite tough to penetrate, plate, hull, doesn't matter. And the APCR, well, 10% more. It's not that much more actually. This thing does actually a very good job at trying to hold off rounds. However, you have to shoot at the gun mantlet. There is the weak spot. It's kind of funny. It's literally like the M1 Abrams. As far as I know, at least in War Thunder, it also has very weak armor on the gun mantlet, and I think the MBT-70 as well. I'm not sure though. The gun mantlet is probably a weak spot of those tanks. But I want to show you one thing. Do you see this right here? This very, very brightly colored thing. That's this spot right here. That's 40 millimeters. So, yes, this tank doesn't have a cupola, right? It doesn't have a cupola. But if you're not a shit shot and you know where to aim with a 122 millimeter gun or higher, you can overmatch that spot right there. I have to just go back here because the defender has a 122 millimeter gun. That is overmatchable, and that is a very easy overmatch. So yeah, you're going to have an easy time, actually. You just need to know that you have to hit there. It doesn't have a cupola, but it has those two massive weak spots right there. Plus obviously the huge lower plate. So that's the armor of this thing. Look, in a hold down scenario against same tiered opponents, this tank is going to be massive. This tank is going to be very tough. You saw the armor, it's very decent. Even against heat rounds of its same tank, it's going to have pretty problems penetrating it. High tier heats, high tier APCRs, nah man, they're going to go through like butter. Doesn't matter. It's not like a Knaven or something. So yeah, the upper front plate doesn't look that impressive either. The lower plate is super weak. And the upper front plate, yeah, it's okay. You can bounce some stuff, but it's more about the angles. So yeah, is this tank OP? It has some very OP-esque stats when it comes to the turret armor. Again, no cupola, decent turret armor for its tier. The ability to be either a single shooter with very comfortable DPM or being able to burst people down in just 6 seconds for 1000 HP. But then again, like, the problem is balancing this tank will be probably very hard for wargaming. Because just small changes can make or break this tank. It can make them incredibly powerful or make it incredibly bad. The problem is that this tank has a combination of everything. Yes, it doesn't have the greatest gun handling, but with IRM and stabs, it isn't that bad. Look at the T-77. Look at the games I've played in a T-77. This tank will not get a tank gun rammer because it has an auto reloader, right? So you don't need to worry about the tank gun rammer to put it into the equipment slot. You can put in vents, you can put in improved configuration, and you can run IRM and stabs to really, really do work on this very meh gun handling, you know? It won't be as good as what the T-77 has, because the T-77 has a base better accuracy, but it will be still very decent. I didn't really have that big of an issue with the T-77 when I have to be honest. When it comes to the gun handling with IRM and stabs. Again, watch my video about that. And the fact that it can go 50 kph is something we shouldn't underestimate. I do think that in its current iteration, it's too strong. It is most likely overpowered. The question is, what should wargaming do? I am personally in favor of nerfing the DPM, maybe by 10%, but giving it a little bit better soft stats. I don't know if this is a good idea, because I think that's just my inner player talking to make the tank a little bit better. That's a bad idea, you know? It's very hard to judge what wargaming is going to do with this tank, and if this tank is going to be like an implication how the other tanks will be, because if the other tanks also have very shit gun soft stats, that's no bueno, that's no fun, you know? Oh, it's a hard case. I do tend, though, to say that this tank is a little bit too strong. I think that wargaming has to nerf the DPM. Maybe nerf the DPM by 15%, maybe give it slightly more gun dispersion for that, like a little bit better soft stats to slightly compensate, because the raw DPM usually is very strong. Obviously, I personally would still advocate to give this tank 3.5 to maybe even 4 seconds interclip reload time. This tank has the ability of having an improved auto reloader, meaning that if you screw up, you have less reload than what a medium tank would have, you know? This tank has an auto reloader as a heavy tank. That is devastating. Yes, the IS-3A, I could have put it into the list, I didn't. Because, yeah, it has strong potential, period. It has very tough clip potential in just 3 seconds, you know? Let me know in the comment section below if you think this tank is OP or not. I think it is right now a little bit OP, yeah. It is a little bit OP. But then again, the gun handling can destroy this tank. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Give me some feedback if you liked today's episode of Tank Preview. And what can I do better? What is bad? What was good? And don't forget to subscribe if you want to be always up to date with everything World of Tanks and War Thunder related. Don't forget to share my channel around. Hey, we are on our way to 10k subs, which is amazing. And after 10k, you know where we're going, boys. We are 10% done. And I want to get that freaking silver plate. You know, 1000 subs, boys. That is a goal. That is what I'm working for. My name is RagingRaptor. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you around.